The art market in the Renaissance, the 1900 through 1950, and now. The Renaissance period. This period was all about exploration. There was a lot of new discoveries during this period, and people were changing the way they did and tried things. The Renaissance period focused mainly on humanism and the human body. During this period, art was a big deal, and artists were able to make a living at doing what they like. The art market had moved from Florence to Rome to Venice during the Renaissance. Italy was one of the richest countries during the Renaissance. There was lots of classical ruins and artifacts there. During this period, being an artist was a profession that it was possible to become wealthy off of. Art was being traded for things of more money and being bought and sold at higher prices. In the Renaissance period, art focused on humanism. The art created in this time period really showed off the human body. The humans in the paintings and sculptures were made so perfectly it was more like they were gods in human form. The Sistine Chapel was painted by Michelangelo in 1508 through 1512 on the ceiling of a church for Pope Julius. It took him over 4 years to paint this. Michelangelo made 3,000 ducats, which is equivalent to $78,000 in our time now. This piece stretches over 500 square meters and has over 300 figures in it. At its center are 9 episodes from the book of Genesis, divided into 3 groups: God's creation of the earth, God's creation of humankind and their fall from God's grace, and lastly, the state of humanity as represented by Noah and his family. This piece was very interesting. The statue of David was also created by Michelangelo in 1504. He was asked by the councils of the Guild of Whirl to complete an unfinished project begun 40 years earlier by Agostino di Deduccio. This sculpture was a statue portraying David as a symbol of Florentine freedom to be placed at the gable of Florence Cathedral. The School of Athens was created by Raphael in 1508 through 1511. This piece was painted in a Vitizen, and Raphael was influenced by Leonardo da Vinci for it. In this painting there is a bunch of people calmly conversing in a court, with vaults receding into the distance. The School of Athens is one of a group of 4 main frescoes on the walls of the stanza that depict distinct branches of knowledge. This was one of Raphael's most famous pieces of work. The quality in this period was very accurate and natural. Artists started studying the human anatomy in order to perfect the human body in their sculptures and paintings. Some even went as far as dissecting dead corpses like Leonardo da Vinci. The artists really mastered the human body so their work could be precise and cause the value to go up. The Renaissance was a period of naturalism, so there was a lot of realistic paintings that were full of emotion and detail that took place within human form. People wanted realistic pieces of art that they can relate to. During this time period, artwork evolved from the ancient Greeks and Romans' art of the gods into a more human form. They brought back lifelike artwork that had disappeared during the Dark and Middle Ages. This art period took place between 13 and 1700, and during this time art represented a sense of reality and the beauty of the human body. There was evidence of trading art as early as the 1400s in Venice and Florence, Italy. The 15th century came with better navigation and trading goods, such as silks, ivories, and porcelain. Michelangelo was one of the highest paid artists. By age 30, he died, leaving his real estate value at 12,240 florins. In the 15th and 16th century, Rome had a boom in their market. Between the wealthy popes and popularity of antiques, Rome became the center of the art market. The Renaissance was a time period where artists were actually able to make a living off art and become wealthy. The 1900s through 1950. During this time period, there was a lot of things in the world that could have inspired an artist. Both of the world wars took place, the Great Depression happened, equal rights for women, the stock market, and fashion appeal. Art in the early 1900s fell under the Deco period. The Art Deco period focused on decorative arts and architecture. While the stock market boomed in the 1920s, so did the art market. The art market and the stock market had similar ups and downs. When the stock market was up, people had more money to spend, but when it was down, the art market would drop with it. The art in this time period was made with lots of harsh colors and flat surface like paintings that would express emotion and distorting forms. The Art Deco period used materials such as aluminum, stainless steel, lacquer, inlaid wood, sharkskin, and zebra skin. The use of zigzag stepped forms, sweeping curves, and chevron patterns were also used a lot. Henry Huntington painted The Boy Blue in 1921 and sold it for €182,200, which was approximately $700,000 at the time. The Scream, which was painted in 1893 by expressionist artist Edvard Munch, was one of the most famous paintings around this time. This painting was sold at an auction in 2012 for almost $120 million. It was made from oil, tempera, pastel, and crayon on cardboard. Munch created four versions of this painting between 1893 and 1910. It is considered to be the Mona Lisa of our time. Jackson Pollock was an abstract expressionist that lived from 1912 to 1956. He was well known for his drip paintings in the 1940s. His paintings sold for unbelievable prices. On one of them, even sold for over $100 million. During this time period, the quality was at first more going for the fancy look, and after the economy crashed, the art changed and represented serious paintings of the everyday working man. This time period had multiple different styles of art. The main styles were Art Deco, Expressionism, and Fauvism. All three had a big effect on the art market. This was another time where the human portraits were getting more exact, and unlike the Renaissance, instead of painting the perfect body, there were more paintings of humans that were not completely perfect and had flaws. Throughout this time period, the art market went from booming in the 20s to going down when the Great Depression hit. Between the 1900 and 1950, the art and the art market had gone through many changes. Contemporary art. Art has become so original in the 20th century, and every artist has his or her own style. Artists' driving forces in this period are their own opinions and emotions. The art market is so spread out in this time period because of all the political things going on. The art market had a pretty big decline in sales in 2017, but they are expected to rise in 2018. The art being made right now does not really follow any types of guidelines. It is more just about the artist expressing his or her feelings and opinions through their work. The art mixes the past styles and does not have its own unique style. Damien Hirst sold his golden calf for €10.3 million. It was a calf in a glass tank of silicone, and his hooves and horns were made of 18-karat gold. Jeff Koons created the balloon dog between the years of 1994 and 2000. This sculpture went on to be auctioned off for $58.4 million. This piece of art was a mirror-polished stainless steel dog with transparent color coding. There are 5 different variations in color of this art. Christopher Wool's Apocalypse Now painting, made in 1988, was sold in an auction for $26.5 million in 2013. This painting was an iconic black stenciled letter on white canvas that featured the line, "Sell the house, sell the car, sell the kids." This painting was painted in just black paint on a white canvas. The quality of art now ranges from sculptures that are made out of gold to sculptures that are made out of what could be considered garbage. The beauty is hidden in the art, and it shows more emotion. For the art market, it is very unpredictable what people are going to spend their money on. Sometimes just the name of the artist alone can make the price worth a lot more. This time period connects to all eras of art because there is no particular style to follow. People are using art to express themselves and they mix all different styles from the past eras. The topic had changed from having art classified as something in particular to anything can be made or used for art. Art is not just a sculpture or painting anymore. There are many different forms of art. Art has widened in possibilities tremendously, and the art market has grown with it in value and people involved. The contemporary art time period is all about expressing yourself. Some artists make art to get paid, and some do it because it's what they love to do. There is a large variety of art being created at this time, and not much of it has the same ideas. The most interesting thing for me while doing this project was getting to research about the Renaissance because I learned a lot of new things.